So the first job we're doing in the house is actually the main bathroom. Reason being is because the other bathroom they have is downstairs in the old extension, and once we strip that out, they'll only be left with the manky one upstairs, so they want it all nice for them whilst all the major work's going on. The main bathroom is pretty small considering it's a main bathroom, but it was an Edwardian property, so they weren't big on bathrooms I suppose back then, more outhouses originally. But yeah, it's been stripped out, bath's gone, and they've opted for just a shower in this bathroom, because eventually in the loft conversion they're going to have a full-on bath up there, big bathroom up there, so this is more for day-to-day use. Yeah, so bath's gone, tiles were all off, re-skimmed all the walls, replumbed, so we've got a manifold system going on which will control this shower valve, and it's all going to be inside a vanity unit here. Yeah, then we got handset outlet and rainfall outlet up the top. And then other than that, yeah, as I say, basin with vanity unit here, toilet there, and a towel rail radiator.
There's some interesting looking tiles.
Yeah, yeah, they look interesting, but they're an absolute nightmare to fit. I don't know if you can see that. They're extremely bumpy and rustic looking. I've got to cut one here, but you can see there's a great big dip in the middle. So when we get to the edging, it's very in and out and all over the place, which, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it does cause problems with things like this shower plate. So we end up with big gaps on each tile, which unfortunately means we're going to have to put a sealant around it, which is not ideal for servicing purposes, but you know, that's what people want, that's what they get.
I suppose the other thing is you've got to do is you've got to seal that shower screen. Well, exactly. That's not going to be a great joint, is it?
Yeah, that's unfortunately it's the other problem.
Every single one of them's dished, so
yeah, all the way down on both sides. It's not so bad around the tray because we can grout that right in.
Yeah.
And then we can just use a clear silicone around there, so you wouldn't see that. It'll just look like the grout. But yeah, not the easiest to get right. But
do you think when customers choose these tiles, they go into a showroom and they see a tile and go, "Oh, that's nice," you know, and then they don't think about your job at all, do they?
I don't think anybody thinks about that. They just see what they like, and that's it. Nobody thinks about us. Poor old us.
So the other job that you're telling me you got is you're going to replace all the windows now. Was that on the original spec or not? It
wasn't, no. Currently, still in here actually, they're here. The original casements were all taken out, and they had these aluminium replacements, double glazed replacements put in. They've had their day really, they're all falling to pieces. So what we're doing now is we're taking these out, we're making our own casements downstairs in the client's garage. So we set up a little workshop down there. But we're making them to accept a double glazed unit. So a bigger rebate than originally there would have been. And then also we're changing the stops that go around on the inside, and we're fitting draft excluders into them as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be, you know, as good as any UPVC window, but it'll be timber. And then there's one little additional thing on some of the front windows. A bit on, let's check that. Up the top here, we've got some stained glass.
Oh, blimey. Yeah.
So the plan with that is we're going to carefully remove the stained glass out of the existing casements, and we're going to have it sandwiched into a double glazed unit, and then refit that unit into our new casements.
So this is like 1930s style house, is it?
Yeah, a touch earlier, I think, actually.
Yeah, 20, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier. But, well, the story is that the builder that built this house, he built it for one of his children.
Oh, okay.
So he's put everything in it, you know, the highest spec he could at the time. Yeah. And it's a very well built house, actually, for this age. Yeah.
You're pulling it apart, so you're actually you're finding it.
Right, so this is our little workshop that we've set up in the client's garage. This is my main man Ian.
Hiya, how you doing?
He's been machining up all the parts for the casement windows we're making. Just standard 2x2 Meranti. We've run it through the thicknesser just to straighten it up a little bit. And then we've got a couple of router bits that we create the moulding, the ovlo moulding, and then the scribe cut on the end. so that when you get the two pieces together, they fit nice and snug, like a traditional.
Yeah. So there's no tenon there. So what's going on there?
Currently, there's not a tenon, but what we're using is the Festool Domino, and we're putting a domino into the end of this section, and then completely through the whole of that section, so that it creates a full tenon, so albeit a loose tenon, but it creates a full tenon through the piece, and you get to see a little tenon on the end as well. Yeah, so you glue those, do you have to pin them or what? No, we're using polyurethane glue and clamping them up, and within 20 minutes the glue's gone nice and hard, and then they're ready to come out the clamps and start being sanded up and painted. It's fairly unusual these days for builders to make joinery on site. What's the thinking behind that? It is. The main reason is that the client said they're keen to restore a lot of the house back to how it was originally. So, I mean, luckily, all of the frames in the house are still the original, outside part of the frame. They've just had these aluminium ones put in. So the client went and got a price from a company to change them all over, and it was absolutely extortionate. So they approached us and just said, is there anything you could do? Could you make them? So, yeah, we said, that's something we're capable of. Can you make them and beat their price, basically? We can. We can, actually. We make it, I think we're about a third of their price. And still make money? And still making money. Well, that's brilliant. And having a little bit of fun in the workshop as well. Well, it's great that you've got this workshop. They've lent you this workshop. Yeah, we're thinking about taking it over when we finish the job. So, we just had a delivery of timber from Champions. Most of it's in the back of the van. We've cut a few bits to length. We're just going to show you the process of putting these casements together. So first job is we're going to run them through the thicknesser, because as much as they've already been thicknessed to a degree, there is still a slight bit of difference in some of these. So we'll get them all nice and straight, and then we'll move on to the next part. We're going to run the other sides through as well, so it's nice and flat. So now we've thicknessed everything up, it's all nice and flush. We've got nice flush timbers now. We're going to move on to the router table. Ian's going to start with the scribing cuts, ready for making our joints together.
Do I need to wear ear defenders for this bit?
Slow it. Should.
Right, I'll just cut everything down to size. The top rail and the bottom rail. So the next part of the process is just putting the scribe cutter onto the top and bottom rail. We do the scribe cut first so we don't get, so if there is any tear out, then when we come to put our scribing piece on, it'll take the tear out away. So we just need to double check everything is running square. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, happy days. Let's go for it. So as you can see, there's a little bit of tear out. Not too bad, but when we run our scribing piece down there, it'll get rid of that tear out. Get on with the other bits. So we just need to change the cutter around now. So we'll put this Ovlo cutter on to run along down the top rail, bottom rail and the two stiles. I think, yeah, this is where if you had like the T11, it would just come in perfect on this little bit. But
is that because it's got a wind up?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So you can just like get it just.
Yeah, you can adjust it from the top of the T11.
Oh, yeah.
Just need to adjust the fence because we've got a different router bit in. So I've already marked this up from when I first did my first one. That's it, and then the next thing we need to do is just adjust the height. That's another reason why I put this bit of ply on. So any quick adjustment, nice and easy. And we're set up for the next piece. Right, on to the next bit, putting the rebate in, ready for the double glazing.
Okay, so to cut the rebate out, obviously it's done with a router to get a nice square edge, but to take the strain off of the router, what we do is we take most of the material out on the table saw. So this is obviously an offcut of a piece that's finished. So we'll set this up on the router table, on the saw bench, sorry. Just give it a few mil away from the finished size and a few mil from the height. So we'll run all our pieces through that way, and then we'll do the same thing again this direction, obviously to match this size, and then we'll finish it off on the router table. Let's make sure I get this right or I'll be in trouble. Yeah, it's a great little tip having this piece available, but just to make sure we don't cut the rebate on the wrong side. So we can always offer it up to the piece that we're about to cut. So obviously that's the wrong way around. So if we get it the right way around, there, that's the piece I'm cutting out. So we can see we're always going to be right every time. So now we're going to set up for the other cut, the other way around, which will be this one. So we need to wind our saw down. Just give it 2 or 3 mil for the router to take out, and then the same with the fence.
So is that a routed piece or don't?
Sorry?
Is that a routed piece or?
This is already routed piece, so this is our finished size. So we know we've got to stay a few mil away from that, just to give the router a bit of work to do. So that's set up now. So I know I'm using this moulded piece against the bed of the saw and against the fence. So now every time I put a piece through, I know that's what I need to do. So here we go. So we can see here now we've taken the majority of the material out. It's pretty rough, so it's not really ideal for joinery standards. And if we offer up our finished piece against it, you can see there's still a little bit more to come out, which will finish on the router table, give us a nice smooth finish, nice and square, ready for the glass.
Right.
Every now and then when we're making things, we're constructing these casement windows at the moment, we have a little mistake, as I've done here. I've run the saw through the wrong part of the timber. It should have been on the back. Now, probably make a new piece for this, but if I was really stuck and didn't have any more timber, what we'd use is a 2-part filler. Pack it right in there, goes off really quick, sand it down, you get a perfect finish. To fill it, I'm going to be using this new HB42 2-part filler. It's white, which is ideal because these windows are going to be painted white, so when we do go put the top coats on, it's not going to show up as a dark patch underneath. So inside we've got the activator, small spatula to mix it up, and the gears inside there. Obviously this main pot has got the actual filler. You need around about a golf ball size of the actual filler. So I'd say that's around about a golf ball, we'll say. And we use that amount of filler and only about a pea size of the hardener. So it depends how big your peas are, but I'd say that's about right there. So it doesn't look a lot, but once it gets going, it really does go hard. Really get that hardener working through the filler. Once it's mixed up, probably got around about 5 or 10 minutes of decent use time before it starts to get a bit too hard to do anything with. That's great for us because we can get it straight in, and then within 20 minutes to half an hour we can start sanding it down, so we're not wasting loads of time waiting for things to dry. So we get plenty in and make sure it's squashed right in, and then we try and get a bit of overfill as well so that we can rub it back down to the level of the timber. If we don't overfill it, what will happen is you'll still see the little line. We try not to make mistakes, but we have these products to help us if we do.
Plan B.
That's it.
That'd be a good name for the product, wouldn't it?
Plan B. Plan B filler. Okay, so we've got plenty in there. Really get loads on there. So, because it will sink slightly as it's drying, so we just want to make sure we're well filled up. That's it. So we'll leave that about 20 minutes to half an hour, and then give it a good sand up. Now the HB42's had a chance to dry. It's been about 25 minutes since we've put it on. It's gone nice and hard now. You can't even put your nail into it. It's really tough stuff. We're going to give it a rub down. So we're going to start with an 80 grit just to get the worst of it away. Then we'll finish it off with a 120. You see how it looks. Okay, so that's all it took. It's nice and easy to rub down. Absolutely flush finish. See on the end? So a couple of coats of paint on that, you'd never see it. So we got over it in the end. During the process of making our casement windows up, we were using these traditional sash clamps. They're pretty bog standard one, nothing special. They were doing the job but not as good as we wanted. So basically what's happening is when we put our workpiece in and cramped it up, this mild steel bar in the middle started bending up. So what that was causing is these two parts here to not be at 90 degrees. They were tipping out, opening the joints of our casements up. So we didn't add enough of it. So we did a bit of research online, and then we found these Bessey Revos. I think they're one of the latest ones out that they do. Everybody's been raving about them. They're rock solid. The bar is absolutely solid. So if you want to move the clamp forward, we push down and forwards. Obviously it won't come back because that's forcing the clamp in action. Then to move back, we lift up and back, and that's it. This end also moves up if you want to centre the piece so it's not tipping over. We've got these little support pieces here that fit in there so that we can keep everything nice and flat throughout the clamping process. Nothing's going to be touching the bar, so it's not going to get a mark on it. All of these ends, they're glue resistant, so everything wipes off of them, and they tighten up to something ridiculous. They really do tighten up. Very, very powerful clamps. So they've just been delivered. We haven't used them yet, so we're going to give it a go. Once we've got the last bits of our casement windows made up, we're going to get them on the bench and give them a go. So hopefully we've got nice tight right angles and should clamp it all up nicely. Another little feature on these clamps, if you've run out of steam with your twisting power in your hands, just to get a bit more pressure on, they've got a little hex bit in there, 6mm hex bit, fits straight in the end, and you can tighten it up like that. Right, so we're ready now. All the pieces are machined up. We're ready to start making our joints. Now, traditional casement window would be a mortise and tenon, but obviously in our little site workshop, we don't have a mortise machine or a tenoning machine. So what we're going to be using is the Festool Domino. Great tool, absolutely brilliant. The fit for the dominoes into the workpiece is so tight that it's probably better, in my opinion, than a traditional mortise and tenon, because it's cut perfectly for it. So here we've got a big selection of, well, not so big, but a selection of dominoes. And this is what you can buy from Festool. They're all cut to the different thicknesses and to different lengths. The problem we've got is we're using a 10mm cutter, and this is their 10mm domino that comes with it. However, it's not long enough for what we need to make these joints together. So by the time these go together that way, we don't feel that that's really far enough into the workpiece. We wanted a little bit more. So what we did is we ordered up this big box here, which has got domino by the length, so we can cut it to whatever length we want. We've got a few pre-cut here, so now we've got something that's a little bit longer there, so we can get right into there. We have a little bit of overhang, we can trim that off so it's nice and flush. Yeah, and it proves for a really, really tight joint. So I'll put that back there. Ian's going to start cutting the dominoes for you.
So it's just onto the top rail now, but because it's only 30mm wide at its thinnest point, we need this special little adapter. This very simply just sits straight onto the front like that. Two little clips here. Then that will now fit perfectly into this top rail, so it sits nice and square where I need to put the domino. Just long enough, isn't it? We'll do this right hand side first. Glue that side up. Right.
Okay. Right. So we're ready to glue up. So we're using polyurethane glue. Great stuff. It expands, goes off really quickly, and it is rock hard. when that's gone off, well, even before it's gone off, you have trouble getting it apart.
So then if you just hammer those dominoes in there on that one.
I'll leave you with that.
That's it. Oh, I'll tell you what, stick a little bit. See if I leave you to hammer that. And leave it that one on there.
Okay.
Perfect.
And glue up these ends. Want a bit on the ends of the dominoes before we put it in there. Plenty of glue. More the merrier. Get on there.
Good there. Let me just tap that.
Okay. My brand new Bessey clamps. Okay, so we've got a little rod here that we're just going to check it for square. Little pin in the end. So we're just doing the diagonals. So we push the pin into that corner. Make a little mark here. And then we check this corner. If the mark lines up, we're nice and square. We're not, so we need to close this in a little bit. So we go about half the distance. So I'll put a new mark there. Try that one.
If I tighten up that clamp.
A little bit. No, back's gone back the other way about. That's good with that one. And then we've got, yeah, that's it. Nice and square. That's good there. That's good there. Perfect. So we just leave that to dry. It'll only take about 10 or so minutes for the for this polyurethane glue to go off, and then we're ready to sand up and start painting.
So that's it. That's our first real introduction to James and Ian actually doing some work rather than talking about it. And you might wonder what I did here. I made the tea, that was all. But if you want to see more of James and Ian and this renovation project that they're taking on, which is going to carry on for a while now, we're going to be following it. So come back and see us on Skill Builder. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber, because we love subscribers. Grow those numbers, and leave us a comment. If you liked it, leave us out. If you didn't like it, leave us out. Why wouldn't you like it? Great guys. Nice
Good
to
tea
see
as
you.
well.
We'll be back.
Take care. Thanks, mate.